Carnage, or should I say Venom? Let there be carnage. Saw this last night, Sunday. Theater's pretty packed. Did really well at the box office. Way as far as exceeded expectations for the weekend. I think they said a successful weekend would have been like 45 to 60 million, and they made over 90 million worldwide. Pretty amazing.
The biggest box office weekend of the pandemic thus far, domestically, and also the biggest October weekend, almost the biggest October weekend ever, just behind Joker. So, in general, a big weekend for the fall. Yeah, it's a huge win for the box office, the theaters, also coupled with a really successful international launch for No Time to Die. It was really nice to see, and a big box office pop. Dune also has been successful in the previous weeks, so that's cool. And yeah, the Marvel machine gets people out, but to actually see Venom like dust off Shang-Chi's previous high mark by like 15 million, it's kind of wild, But people,
especially,
I don't know if people are hyped for anything with Spider-Man. I think that's what it comes down to.
Especially because this movie isn't nearly as good as Shang-Chi.
Well, I mean, no shit. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is I was sitting in the movie theater waiting for the movie to start, and I was like, what do I remember about the first Venom movie? I didn't remember anything, dude. I didn't remember shit. Like, I was like, okay, I know Eddie Brock. I know Venom is, now attached to him. And that was about it. Like, that was as much as I could really remember. I even forgot that, what's her name? Michelle Williams is in this. Like, why is she in these movies?
Venom at one point takes over her, which comes back again in this movie. Yeah.
Well, he takes over a lot of people in this, including the who's the lady in the bodega?
Mrs. Chen, I believe.
Yeah, I liked her. That was my favorite part, probably. But
so the thing that I remembered most about the original Venom was this irreverent sense of humor, and namely that this is like lowest common denominator humor that I still find really amusing. Harkens back to which is referenced in this sequel, the lobster tank scene where Tom Hardy literally dives into the lobster and starts eating lobsters, living lobsters, right? Because Venom's satiable hunger for a certain form of brain and all that, right? And I like that humor. And I think that's the best part about the first movie, which otherwise has a lot of like mid-2000s vibes to its storytelling as far as superhero films go. It's a step below Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's a step below DC, modern DC. It's a step below the best of Fox's X-Men, So thankfully the humor is there, albeit how dumb it is. At least something is there that holds my attention, because for the most part the plot and the action does not. And I was quite disappointed. I thought I had high expectations. I was quite disappointed that Venom 2 is basically just everything about the first movie, but just not as good. And the first one already was not that good. So this is not the kind of decline we need.
Well, the good thing about not really remembering much about the first movie is I didn't really know, or I didn't remember that it was a lot of what was in the first movie. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. But yeah, I kind of got it as we were going. Like, oh yeah, the whole like, they're like making fun of each other. They don't really want to be attached, but they kind of want to be attached. That whole like, will they, won't they type thing.
Right. Buddy cop almost.
Yeah. I gotta say, the whole stuff with like Woody Harrelson and Naomi Harris and all that.
Carnage
that
and
was
Shriek.
Really tough.
Yeah, that shit sucks. No question.
Why is Woody Harrelson doing this?
Well, Woody Harrelson was in like the post-credit scene of Venom 1. He was cast as Carnage for a while.
He looked more clown-like. He had that big red hair, remember?
That's right. Yeah, different haircut for sure. But like the thing is, the characterization is just super one note. I mean, Woody Harrelson is not given a chance to do anything cool. It's just really weak. And if you think about how this movie works, it's surprisingly only 90 minutes long. And the first like hour of this movie, there's like barely been any direct conflict between Venom and Carnage, our two titular villains, anti-heroes, whatever, right? And structurally, it's just like it's just a lot of like basic stuff, right? Like the whole origin of Carnage and Shriek and like how that goes. Like we certainly did not need a flashback of Carnage and Shriek. Notably, young Cletus Cassidy is voiceovered by Woody Harrelson. Still, like first
It's
of all,
so
why did you
weird.
do that? You just had that guy talk. Like what the fuck? Um,
Yeah.
but whenever we weren't doing stuff with Brock and Venom, I was just so uninterested because
Yeah.
watching them fight and bicker and talk about their goals, for each other, for themselves, that's at least attempting to that's closest to the most successful things about these two movies, right? And when we're just distracting with this really garish action,
CGI fight,
it's just not compelling, you know. So,
yeah, I'm
it's
not
just it's
one
whatever.
to I'm not one to buy as much into the whole like every Marvel movie devolves into like a CGI fuck fest type take. Like I have to say like I'm a sucker sometimes for that, like the action, like even the end of Shang-Chi, like the two like dragons fighting, like it wasn't what I wanted, but I was like, okay, like it's
Thematically,
something.
it still made sense with the rest of the movie, so I didn't mind it
Right.
either.
But this one felt like a total CGI fuckfest by the end, and I was just like totally checked out by the final fight scene. But you're right, like probably my favorite scene in the movie beyond when Venom takes over Mrs. Chen and is talking with Michelle Williams and Dan from Veep is when Venom goes to the nightclub and is hanging out with Little Sims. I was like, yeah,
That was
this is
awesome.
by far the best part. Everybody's like, great costume, this is amazing. Uh, Amazing scene. Loved that shit. But yeah, you're right. When it gets down to like let's watch these two CGI symbiotes fight, it really lost me and I wasn't so interested. But I have to say my theater loved it. So probably just me.
Mine too. I saw it on Friday night. I usually don't go to stuff on Friday night, but that meant there was a lot of kids there. And when the No Way Home trailer played, opening credits, it was a pop at the end. And I'm sure all these kids had already seen that trailer, but kids love Marvel. Kids love Spider-Man.
Yeah,
And
man.
even if Venom is not high art by any means, people still eat it up, And that was
Yep.
always the funny thing about making a Venom standalone movie. A lot of people have remarked upon this, is that Venom as a character is not that deep in terms of its comics history. It's always been kind of dumb and over the top. And Carnage is even dumber and more over the top than Venom. And I think the action wise, like Carnage, it was just such a non-entity in this
Yeah.
movie, and I think the mix is almost too loud at times when he would do that. The weird shriek when he would show up as Carnage is quite the mess. So I wasn't the biggest fan, but there is a post-credit scene.
Oh yeah.
From Sony. Sony controls all these film rights for Spider-Man and anything related to Spider-Man, and as we've all said, they ain't giving this shit up. No way.
Yeah,
So,
no way.
Kevin Feige, you got to play ball. So Venom's coming to the MCU, my friends. Multiverse, baby.
I know. What did you think about that after credit scene? I mean, it's kind of goofy, but I was excited. I was like, okay, we're gonna get the real like multi Spider-Man thing going on here. Seems
Right. So I guess my question is, will Venom actually show up in No Way Home, or is this further down the line? Because we know from the No Way Home trailer, you're getting Doc Ock, Alfred Molina coming back, really cool. Seems like Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe is also coming back,
100%.
and we assume Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker, also going to show up. Maybe Andrew Garfield, who knows, right? But if you remember, which I know this is asking a lot, but if you remember the Morbius trailer, Michael Keaton's Vulture showed up in that, which was our first instance of an MCU Spider-Man character showing up in a Sony Marvel movie, right? Maybe this is just setting up the broader Sinister Six, however, whatever version of the Sinister Six they're going to create. And then watch you get the Sinister Six at a later date, crossing over to the MCU and seeing Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's kind of my working thought. I don't think literally all these people are showing up in No Way Home in December. I don't think it's going to be quite that big, and they put all this time into making Venom a big figure for them in the film sense. So I don't think he's going to be like ham-fisted in a certain sense. So,
Yeah.
and Tom Hardy also is a bit, is a big actor, so he's not going to have like a bit part, I don't think. So, uh, a lot of unknown, a lot of speculation, but that's kind of where I've settled on this. But at least
I
this post credit is just telling you that it's going to come eventually. It's
yeah.
happening in one form or the other.
I think that's going to be a really interesting. I don't know if it's a dilemma, but an interesting thing to navigate for Sony and Marvel is you're putting all this money into basically establishing Venom as a lovable anti-hero. Are you really going to then put him up against Spider-Man and just make him the straight villain? Are they going to become friends? Like, how are you going to work that out? Because, like you said, Ed Hardy's not just going to show up for 20 minutes to get his ass beat by Tom Holland. It's not going to happen. I don't
Right.
think.
Also, I mean, it would be something to see Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock's performance show up in the MCU, just because it is a weird performance, man. Like,
It's so weird.
like honestly, like
The accent? What's going on there?
even putting that to the side, like this Eddie Brock is not convincing as an investigative journalist. Like he barely has his mind together at this point, right? It's just odd. And again, I like it when he's fighting with Venom in terms of the will they won't they and just the control of their lives. I like all that, but to see like Eddie Brock in the flesh, played by Tom Hardy, talking to Tom Holland, like they truly are in two different movies. So I wonder how that would go.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting whenever it happens. I am excited for Far From Home, or No Way Home. Sorry, No Way Home.
Me too.
I I think it's gonna be interesting to see how they work all this out.